So to walk and have that mustard seed faith, because I legit be walking by faith. Because if I open up my eyes and see what's actually happening around me, I would not make it. I would not make it. So every time God tells me to go, I go. I can't listen to man. So even when it makes no sense at all, and I've made so many decisions that made absolutely no sense at all, that worked itself out, it wasn't me. It was for the greater good.
Today's conversation is definitely something I hope that all of the listeners are able to just really resonate with, because we're over 40, but I don't feel like we have enough conversations about some of the lessons we've learned as we enter into the next chapter of our life. And I'm super excited to have my guest today, Miss Kimberly Walker. A little bit about her, and I'll let her tell you a little bit about her background story. But I was doing the math. So we are 26 years. I know.
Yes. Yes.
We were class of 99.
Class of 99 is 2025. So 26 years plus you go back to ninth grade. So we're about
Yes.
29 years, 20, 8
Yeah,
years.
it's been a long time, and it's been just a lot of life errors and things we've had to just go through in our own individual lives. And when I was like, okay, we need to have a conversation, like a little powwow about like what's life over 40 and some of the lessons we learned. Of course, I was like, I have to ask Kimberly, because it's been great to just watch her journey as a mom, a wife, and just as an amazing, dope woman in general from our back in the day. We have both grown and developed. We're
Tremendously. From the 70 bus on Georgia Avenue, the X2 Benning Road, from just Banneker hallways to, we're living this life and we
Yes.
made it. Like we made it.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like, okay, so who else would I have? Because I think that this is such a great conversation, because sometimes I feel like when we're in our teens, and even I feel like even our early 20s, sometimes we don't understand that there's this evolution of ourselves. And then sometimes there's this thought of like, oh, once I'm over 40, everything's over. And off of our last conversation, actually, no, we're just entering into the next chapter of our life. So just before we jump into the conversation, share a little bit about yourselves just so people can get a chance to know you.
So I'm Kimberly Walker. I am a Washingtonian. Currently, I live in Brunswick, Georgia, where I'm the assistant commander to the training academy for my agency where I work for. I'm at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. I've been down here 9 years. So the transition from coming from Washington, D.C., from my big urban city where, the food, the music, my go-go, just life, even with mass transit, like we don't even have like a bus system here in Brunswick. So it's a little different. Everything kind of shuts down a little early. But I grew up in the oldest housing project in Washington, D.C., in Langston Terrace, right off of 21st and Benning Road for any viewers in the D.C. area. And I came up through the Rosedale, going to Gibbs Elementary, the Roper, to meeting my lifelong friends, actually through all those stages of schooling. But Banneker is like, that really shaped my life. I can remember, I was slated to go to, Sitwell Friends, Edmund Burke, Georgetown Day, Madeira, all these schools that I tested well in. And I did the summer institutes at those institutions and said, oh, Mom, this is not for me. And my mom, she worked in DC public schools where her annual salary was $8,000 a year, where tuition for Sitwell, all my tuition was covered, but we still had like $15,000 in fees. And it was right before school was going to start, like Labor Day weekend, the week before. And my mom's like, what are you going to do? What school are you going to? I don't know. And she got on the phone. She called up Banneker, and she probably, anyone that knows my mom, Lenore Edwards, God rest her soul. Miss Edwards is a praying woman, but she was determined. No was not no. No was let me get somebody else on the phone. No, you the wrong person. No, where's your supervisor? That's how my mom is. And now with her being gone, that's exactly who I am. And I know it. So I'm grateful for her, but she got on the phone and she was put in touch with Miss Berger. Do you remember Miss Berger? Yes.
Our teachers were so awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Like
Yes. Oh
we
my
had such a good education that
Yes, Senora
Oh,
Bennett, Mr.
yes.
Tyson, Miss
Mhm.
Gooding. Oh my God, I'm so stressed. Oh my God. Math was not it. Geometry wasn't it. Thank God I sat next to Reggie Johnson and Tori Thomas, like still
Yes.
my good friends today. And like we were like a family there. But I just remember entering the doors in Banneker and I met Miss Berger and Miss Dennis. And Miss Dennis said, you know you don't belong here. I don't belong here. And she's like, no, these kids have been through the Banneker Summer Institute. They've done X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. So as soon as you mess up, you out of here. So now I had that pressure on me at Banneker. And for me, all of you all were fly. I was the ghetto girl, cross town, taking two buses, big backpack. I didn't have the designer stuff.
Mhm.
My mom didn't have a car. Like a lot of kids rolling up in cars
Yeah.
and I don't know anyone. You know, it was a couple of us that came from Roper, and I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
So for me, walking into the doors of Banneker, where it was already like, folks had their own circles, I remember not really fitting in and kind of forcing myself in to figure out what group I could
Mhm.
most be like.
Yeah.
So back then, when you all, and I would say you all because it seems like, our class was less than 100, but
Yes.
everybody knew where they were going. Ivy League, I didn't know what Ivy League, what? So
Yeah.
everybody knew where they were going. Everybody knew what they wanted to do. I had no clue. Only
Mm.
thing I knew is that Miss Dennis said I didn't belong there and that I probably wasn't gonna make it out of there. So it was my
Yeah.
goal just to make it.
Yeah.
And I made it with the help of Miss Jefferson. Remember our counselor, Miss
Yes. I
Jefferson?
remember all the yes.
And her writing recommendations. And I probably was at the absolute bottom of the class, if not the bottom. I probably was the last
Mm.
person, probably down at the bottom. And I remember how bad I felt graduating. I was like, no, but I made it. Like I was at the bottom,
Yes.
top.
Yeah.
Attica was the top. We
Top.
were like,
Yes.
I was at the bottom of the top. Oh
Yep.
no, I won.
Yep.
I did it. Right. So then
Yeah.
graduating. Okay, what do we do? So I know everybody was going off to college and they're going to Stanford, we're going to Oberlin, we're everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Drexel, everywhere. Everybody's going to school. And me, I chose community college because I chose love. So we graduated
Mm.
in 99, but I met my groom now that I've
Yes.
had since 1998.
Exactly.
I was accepted into these schools. I had a list. I had a list to choose from. Again, like I did entering high school. I had a
Yeah.
list and went against what everyone thought. All right, I'm going to
Mm.
Prince George's Community College. What? You came out of Banneker to go to community college? I sure did. Because I'm in
Yeah.
love. Right? I'm in love. So I met PG College. I got these aunts who are on me, like, nope, you're gonna be successful, you're gonna do this. And I'm like, what's my major? I don't know, but you're gonna figure it out. And I remember, starting my college life, and I had just lost my cousin. We were 2 months apart, Tiffany,
Mhm.
and we were both going to PG together. This was the plan. We were gonna go to school. Well, then that part of me passed away that year,
Mm.
1999. And by this point, I'm working in the federal government, 17 years old.
Yeah.
I graduated on June 10th. I remember that. June 10th was our graduation, right? Or was that
Yeah.
our prom? It was June 10th was something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I looked at my old resume. I was in the government and started started work the very next Monday. And now here I am, 43,
Yes.
and we're coming up on 26 years federal
Yeah.
service, like in the government. So I had to make it my way.
Yeah. But I think the part about it though is that there's different parts I think I even want to dig into because I can see how life situations early, because I don't think that we realize how everything pieces together when we're in it, you know? And yes, even when we were going to Banneker, we all had we all come from different types of households, income levels, journeys. And if anyone knows anything about DC, I always tell people the era of kids that were born and raised there in the 80s and 90s. Where I mean, if you know what was going on and if you
Yeah.
know what was happening, like our mayor was
It's
caught
forever
doing.
Marion Barry. That was my first summer job. That was my
Y-
work ethic. That was
Yeah,
my character. That was,
yeah.
hey.
Yeah,
That was
so
my
it's like we had this grit to us, and I think that a lot of you either had during that era some parents that really like honed in for their kids to have some kind of future because they also saw, especially because my mom was an educator too, is like they saw what was happening with some of the other kids that weren't having parents that were as active. And so, like, when we're now looking back at the age we are, I would love to know, like, now seeing what you've accomplished in your job and your career and your family, did you ever think that this would be where your life was is at right now?
No, I had no idea or identity. I had no clue on where I would be. I
Mhm.
had no real hopes or
Yeah,
dreams, like no aspirations. I was on
yeah,
survival mode.
yeah.
And, my mom, I remember us going to high school and folks were like, what's your curfew? And I'm like, curfew? I didn't have a curfew. I didn't have anywhere to go. I never had a whipping. My mother never put her hands on me. My mother was quiet. And
Mhm,
she never forced me to do anything. She never, I didn't have chores or big responsibilities,
mhm,
but that gave me like so much structure and discipline.
mhm.
And now I see with like this generation and me being a mom myself,
Yeah,
that as much as you stay on these kids, you harp on these kids, they gonna do what they kind of want to do.
yeah,
But as long as they're watching you, it's like they'll get it. They got it,
yeah, yeah,
but you can't beat it over their head. And my mom, she didn't do that. And I figured it out. And not that, I knew where I was going. I just knew where I didn't want to be. I knew I did
mhm,
not want to be in the same housing project. I
yeah,
knew I couldn't live watching people do drugs. I've seen
yeah,
people shot, robbed,
yeah,
stabbed.
yeah,
Like I've seen so much and I just knew I didn't know where I was going, but I knew this wasn't going to be it. I knew it wasn't going to be
yeah,
my end. So I would say just for me stepping into the government so young and watching the other ladies around me,
mhm,
they're the ones that pushed me because I was so content. Wherever I went, I was content.
mm,
And they're the ones who pushed me and get out that comfort zone.
yeah,
So if I didn't have that,
yeah,
I don't know where I would be. Like none of this is
yeah,
actually planned. Like these are the prayers from like my ancestors
yeah,
and my mom. And I'm living off of their prayers because the
yeah,
things that happen and manifest, it looks like, oh, Kim's doing this, Kim's doing that, Kim. Like Kim has no plan. Kim's in law school right now. Everybody's like, oh, Kim, where are you gonna practice? Where are you gonna I don't know, I'm just in law school right now. My godmother challenged me. This is my
yeah.
godmother's challenge. And she's like, you need to, and that's how I've been operating on everybody else's dreams, I feel. Like everybody's like,
Mm,
oh, well, don't you want to do this? And she no, no. Well, no, I'm gonna challenge you. You're gonna do this. And I'm up for a challenge because I'm gonna
yeah,
win. I'm a
yeah,
fighter, so I'm gonna win. So now I'm in this challenge of law school, and everybody's like, where you go? What you? I don't know. I'm doing well though. I went to
yeah,
do well. Like I'm doing well. I do
yeah.
well in it, but I have no real aspiration on it's crazy. It's really,
No,
really
it's not. Honestly, I resonate really well with that because being an inner city kid, I know that I definitely had a lot of privileges based off of my mom having a company and also being a teacher. So I knew that compared to some of my friends, I may have had access to different things that others did not. However, I still was having people shot in front of my house.
right.
And I was the only girl in my neighborhood in my age bracket that graduated and that didn't have a baby.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends either were in prison or locked up or still locked up or still in prison,
Right.
or dead. I remember on my 13th birthday, I had a sleepover and someone was shot outside of our sleepover. So when you're raised in those environments, you're really you dreaming, but you're not. Like you know that I don't want to get wrapped in any of the foolishness that other people are doing. And my family being Southern, you knew that you didn't do anything to dishonor your family. Because family name and legacy was so much more important. So if you came from that kind of family, like I wasn't going to do anything that my mom was going to have to punish me for, because then I meant my grandma was going to punish, and then
Yeah,
there was going
the
to be some other
neighbors.
Yeah, like, it was gonna be people, and I didn't want that type of smoke from anyone. So you do enough, and you did well, and you did things that made people proud, but it wasn't always understanding with clarity, like, where you were going, and people like you have. So, like, looking back, that's the beauty too with some of our environments, because everyone in our environment did not excel or succeed. But I think looking back, you can see how even though we may have had those environments, we were still blessed by the people that still wanted something for us and still paved a way for us, and where we are and even where we can still go, because we still have a long life to live, even at the age that we are at.
Yes, and it's big. And I think for us back then, we had aunts and you had
Mm,
elders, you had cousins who were your aunts.
yeah.
And, that's who you wanted to, be good for and
Yeah.
impress and show them that, you are good and that
Yeah.
you're living up to what the expectation is. And right now, I think people are just so, social media, of course, is taking over,
Yeah.
but there's no shock factor, there's no wow factor, there's
Mhm.
no, people are just kinda doing what they want, you better mind your business, bet
Yeah.
nobody better not say nothing to my child, and, I would say with us moving to the South in a smaller community and a more family-oriented community, and with my kids being in sports, that keeps them, disciplined, but,
Mhm.
because they have something, they gotta keep up great with their grades
Yeah.
and, be prompt and be kind, and
Yeah.
so that's, like, really shaping them, and if we didn't have that whole team mentality and doing
Mhm.
everything as a group because now I don't have those aunts for
Yeah.
my kids to, "Hey, this is what I'm doing," and making them proud and laugh and send you a card with $1 in it and,
Yeah.
all the things that we used to get excited for.
Excited
It
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now it's no longer that. So for us, when we moved south, when we moved to Georgia, before we left, I was like, all right, y'all, we wrote a list. This is what y'all gonna do. Find out what you like to do. And whatever that is, we're gonna go 1,000% at it. So
Yeah.
whether it's crocheting, whether it's basketball or sport, if it's science, math, whatever it is, that's what we're gonna go hard at. This is what we're leaving the city for. We're leaving the
Yeah.
city for quality of life and for me to find out who y'all are and you to find out who we are. Because
Yeah.
in the hustle and bustle of life, and I do miss the hustle and bustle, but I was missing my kids growing up.
Mm,
I was missing my family, my husband. I
yeah.
was missing things. And now I look up, they're grown. So to actually have the opportunity to come down and now watch them grow up, because now I'm filling in gaps for things that I guess I'm lacking now,
Mm,
and those is probably all the laws. So
mm,
I have to learn how to be resilient and adapt, which I think I'm pretty resilient
yeah.
and I'm adapting pretty well, but my situations are ever changing.
Yeah.
So sometimes, folks are like, they want to answer. It's like, there's not a golden answer to the golden question or like life after 40. It's
Yeah.
you want to make your life exactly what you want it to be.
Mhm.
And I had spent so much time making sure that I was living for other people.
Mhm.
And that's how I ended up in law enforcement with,
Yeah.
hey, there's this job, this will be great for you. So everything was this will be great for you. Do this. And oh, I'll do it. Oh, I did it. I did great.
Yeah.
What's next? Because I'm waiting for somebody to tell me the next move or the next step.
Yeah.
So now I find myself being disciplined with my own rules. So now
Mm,
each day I write out a list of things that I want to accomplish. And
yeah.
it may be something very small. It
Yeah.
may be self care. It
Yeah.
may be, oh, today is the day I'm gonna call and check on my aunts, the eldest in my family, Aunt Jean. Let me
Yeah.
call today. This is my day set aside for that. All right,
Mhm.
tomorrow I'm gonna text my friend group. So each day I write a list, and once I accomplish most, if not everything on that list, no matter how small, I feel great.
Yeah.
People say, what are your priorities? Like, how do you prioritize your day? It's whatever fire is actually going on that day. My life is
Yeah.
like an assessment center, and I constantly find myself this out and solving everything. Oh, I'm drained.
Yeah.
As much as I pour out, most days I don't have anything left in me. So when I go to
Mhm.
sleep, I'm empty. So when
Yeah.
I go to sleep, I'm praying. I wake up in the morning, I'm praying, I'm taking my smoothie, I am
Yeah.
refilling Kim because
Yeah.
I know the first I'm gonna open up my phone and I got 30 text messages and that's a whole bunch of fires I gotta put out. And then the email. So it's all day where if
Yeah.
I don't prioritize Kim and self-care Kim in the morning, midday checkup, I'll turn everything off
Yeah.
and then just sit back, take a deep breath, and figure out where Kim is.
Yeah.
Come home and I get right back into it. So
Yeah.
you have to have moments of just self-care and having a good support system. And it doesn't matter what your support system, like it doesn't have to be a mom, a dad. I was so boxed into it has to be this, your life has to be. It doesn't. It
No.
doesn't. What makes you feel good? Who's your support system? It could be people at my job for that moment. That's
Yeah.
my support system. I have a chat line with my cousins and my aunt,
Yeah.
and we're on there every day. And it may just be a meme. It may be a joke. It may be
Yeah.
political. It may be a relationship. It may be sex. It may be I
Yeah.
gotta go have my pap smear, my mammogram, something. But
Yeah.
we stay in contact because we know how the last generation was, and
Yeah.
we vow that, like, we have to stick together, not only for us, but for our kids, so our kids can
Yeah.
know each other, so we can celebrate each other. We don't want our cousins to be out here not knowing who they are
Yeah.
or who their family is.
Yeah.
So if you're not living for yourself, at least for the family,
Yeah.
like, are you making yourself proud?
And I think that that's a great life lesson to even think about when we talk about the self-care, because I feel that how we view self-care in our 20s and our 30s is a lot different when you're in your 40s. I feel as if when we're in our 40s, we kind of embrace this confidence in ourselves and the confidence in honoring ourselves, where in the younger ages, I feel like you can allow yourself to be bended and molded, and it's like this people pleasing. And at that point, that's when we're burning out. That's when we're not fulfilled. And it's something that feels like this light clicks where, like, okay, I don't agree with this in my life. I'm not choosing. And it takes the time. It probably even starts with just realizing that this isn't okay. Because I feel that when we just continue to just live without taking reflective moments, then we don't be present to, like, okay, I really am not okay with not seeing my kids all the time, because like that's a conversation I've had with some of my friends that are in the same age bracket as us, and they're going to have to start commuting, and they live out in Waldorf area, and it's going to be an hour and a half each way, and they're like, that's 3 hours in the car away from my family, and then working and all these different things, and they're like, I don't want it to be that I'm never seeing my child. At some point it's like, okay, what kind of, what idea of being a parent or idea of being a wife or being a career person or whatever, fitness, health, whatever. I feel like at some point we have this realization of what it looks like for us. And it may not happen overnight, but it's sometimes we have to step into what that is and kind of inquire, like, what do I really like in this life area? Because I'm sure with the decision to move, it wasn't just a wake up and like we're doing it. It probably was something that just sparked like something needs to change, or this isn't what I really want for my family. Is that something you would say is the thing that happened with you?
So for me, I didn't like how I was getting tired of the schooling system in Prince George's County, the commute, the hustle and bustle. It was just like a
Yeah,
combination of things. I was in a very demanding role at my job, which I absolutely love. And I had to make a decision. Like we had to make a tough decision. It
yeah,
was tough for me, but having a husband who is like 100% on board and supportive,
mm,
when it was offered to me to come to Georgia, and I remember going, "Oh, yeah." I was so conflicted. I was like, "Ah." And I remember my coworker, he said, wait a minute. This is what you was asking for, right? You retired in the area. You said one day you gonna retire down south and you asked God for all of this. You've been praying for this. And
yeah,
now he gave it to you and you don't want it."
yeah,
I said, wait. Oh, because it's not in your timing?
mm,
And I had to think about that. So then I called my husband. I'm waiting for Larry to say, "Yeah, we staying." So I said, "Hey, my job offered me, go down Georgia. What do you think? You want to talk about it?" He's like, "When we leave, whatever you want to do, wherever you go, I go." So for me, I needed someone to say, because I'm used to people telling me what to do. So
Yeah.
I needed him to say, "Oh, we ain't going down there. Our family's here. Our friends are here." So he said, "Yeah, when we leave." When we leave? Wait, what the hell? What are he talking about? So I said, "All right, I'm gonna go home and talk to these kids. I'm gonna sit down these children." So we sat the children down,
Yeah.
and I said, "We're gonna write on a piece of paper. I just want you to say yes or no. Don't look at each other. Don't have a conversation. I'm gonna ask you a question. Roll it up, write it on this piece of paper, ball it up, throw it back to me, and we're gonna go over it." And all three of those children said yes, yes, yes. So now I have a whole family and a conglomerate of friends who are saying no. I have my godmother who is white
Mhm.
saying you're going to Georgia and they gonna be burning crosses on your yard and you're gonna get a divorce. And I was like, what? And so I had pushback. Then I had people stop talking to me altogether. So now here I go again with, pushback when everybody's telling me, no, 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 you're making a wrong decision. Not that I have to prove you wrong, but I always have to go with my heart. Like,
Yeah.
if God is sending me somewhere,
Mhm.
He's not gonna fail me. He's sending me there. He's gonna
Yeah.
align it. He's gonna work that thing. And
Yeah.
here I am moving in. All my stuff is in a trailer, in a 53-foot tractor trailer, and we have legit no place to go. I moved into a hotel the first day. Nobody knew that.
Wow.
I moved my family, my dog, and the tractor trailer had all of our stuff in it. And I told the movers, I don't have a place to put it. And everybody thought I was crazy. We slept in a hotel with my Rottweiler, my three kids, and my husband. My first day of work in Georgia was out of a hotel. I got dressed in a parking lot so I wouldn't wake up my kids.
Wow.
So to walk and have that mustard seed faith,
Yeah.
because I legit be walking by faith. Because
Yeah.
if I open up my eyes and see what's actually happening around me, I
Yeah.
would not make it. I would not
Yeah.
make it. So every time God tells me to go, I go. I can't listen to man. So even
Yeah.
when it makes no sense at all, and I've made so many decisions that made absolutely no sense at all that worked itself out, it wasn't me. It was for the greater good.
Yeah.
So when you hear people in your ear and they may mean you well, they
Yeah.
probably mean you well. That's the
Yeah.
most or the
Most
best.
of them usually are meaning well, but it's
It's like,
always
what?
bad.
But it's not for me. And it may have worked for you. It may work for that person.
Yeah.
It you gotta go with your heart. You gotta go with your gut. And that's
Yeah.
how I live my life. And it is my eyes are closed. And each day I'm like, Lord, what is it today? What are we going to do today? So I've turned all of my grief and my sadness and I turned everything into love. How can I
Mm.
make your situation better? So I don't
Mhm.
walk around giving advice. I don't walk around telling people what to do because I've been told so much and that doesn't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So I don't go around telling people what to do. Even
Yeah.
as a boss, I don't go around telling you what to do. If you ask me advice, I'm going to give you some advice,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to volunteer information. I'm not going to volunteer that because I don't want you to be uncomfortable
Yeah.
or for you to be in a place where I told you so. But if you
Yeah.
legit come ask me, like, our friend Janicia,
Yeah.
it's like my best friend. We talk every other day as well.
Yeah.
And for her, like, I'm going to give it to her straight. She going to give it to me straight. We can hang up the phone and be great.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of people that I keep in my circle. I wouldn't even say need in my circle because our circle has been 20, 30
Yeah.
years.
You're solid. Yeah.
It's solid. And
Yeah.
I have different friends and different members or people in my life, different relationships
Yeah.
where I can consult them, whether it is for legal stuff, law enforcement stuff, schooling, relationship, whatever the case is. But for me to actually give you, hey, single ladies, do this. Hey, married women, now you're over 40. You need to go find yourself and live your life and evolve.
Yeah.
Like, to each his own. What
Yeah.
makes you happy?
Yeah.
Like, what
But you
makes you happy?
but you have to allow yourself that space to even explore that. Like I think that that's been the biggest thing that I've had to realize, especially, and it hit me, I would say probably 39-ish, not from because I think sometimes what I've noticed for some women, it's been, or even both sexes, it's this dread of like, oh my gosh, I'm coming 40. Oh my gosh, I'm about to be 30. Oh my gosh, I'm about to be 50. It's always this dread instead of like a reflection. And I tell people like, at 39, I had to think to myself, well, what do I want my life to be at 50? Like, what do I want my life to be at 60? I'm like, because change doesn't happen overnight. It takes intentional movement to go into that direction. What are the standards of how I want people to treat me? What do I want people to see me as in my work life and my personal life? And I think that being okay, because I think at one point I even thought like, man, I really would have loved to have been married. Like I can still get married at some point, but then also too, is that for 10 years, I was dealing with my mom having breast cancer multiple times, and everyone isn't okay with going through that journey with someone else. It's different if you already had an existing relationship compared to going into it with someone. Th
Right.
Those are 2 different things, and I had to release feeling as if I don't wanna say shame because it was never I never felt that, but it's just like questioning, like, "Why haven't I?" Or any of those things, but one of the things that I think and once I hit 40 or like 41, I had this epiphany about the season I'm in my life where I'm able to care about my friends and family members because that might just be the calling on my life for right now. And when I am supposed to be a partner, then I would have already done and served my family in a way that I'm supposed to serve them. And if when my mom got sick, if I would have had a whole family unit and she would have been living in Louisiana, that would have been extremely hard to balance and manage. And then with my aunt, now her sister, she's like 80 something, so like I'm in this era where, because my mom was the youngest, I feel like I'm now a designated driver for all my older cousins.
Right. Right.
So everyone's more mature in their age now and making sure that they are where they are. I had to kind of like realize to myself that I can't look at, to your point, is that sometimes we look at everyone else's life and like sit here and like, why is this, that, and the other, instead of really allowing ourselves time to pray, find gratitude, because that's something that I had to really become like, I'm grateful that like I'm watching my little cousins right now. Granted, some days it might, like,
That you're able to, that you're in
yeah,
position to, that you
yeah,
are aligned to. And it's like, okay, what is your purpose? Okay,
yeah.
did I fulfill that? So
Yeah,
now that is fulfilled. And
yeah,
it's passion versus purpose. And,
yeah.
does having a kid, does that make you a greater person or woman?
No,
No. And
no,
no,
no.
no, this world is Uncle for Cocoa Puffs. Like, no.
Because even one of the things I decided I wanted to do was probably even look for big brothers, big sister programs and things like that. I'm like, I would love to because I'm sure there were people and you've kind of touched on some family unit people, but I remember distinctly individuals that looked out for me that were not family, my mom friends that touched my life or exposed me to different things. And I will always be honored that someone thought or saw something more in me because that's sometimes the biggest thing with inner city kids or just kids in general is to be able to have someone that sees something in them that they may not always get from people in their household or the people in their household might not even be able to expose them to. And I think that that is something for people to look at is like what really fires you up about life. Like, and I think at 40, you kind of get into the point of shifting from like a passion. I feel like I'm in a passion driven sector of my life now. Like, what inspires me? What excites me? Like, I love to travel. Like, I love to see new things. I love to go in new environments. I would love to live abroad, not full time all the time, but like, those are things that inspire me more or less than coming here and getting this big mansion and staying in a house all day long. That's not and if that's what someone loves, that's what they love. But for me, I'd rather be able to use my extra money to go and see, go to Holland and see like the tulips bloom and on a bicycle and doing the corny things, like that's what
Except for me,
inspires me.
I don't want to do any of that. I ain't got no desire to travel no more. I don't have a
Really?
desire to go overseas. It is like, my best friends, they all get together. My closest Nene is taking a cruise and Mediterranean. And no,
Yeah.
you're going, I don't
You
want to
used to
go.
travel all the time. She used to be the person that would plan group travel trips, y'all.
For like 80 people, 100 people.
Yes.
And I spend my time organizing, lining up, structure. All right, did you get your stuff? Did you get your bag? I'm doing
Yeah.
goodie bags, gift bags for everybody. I done
Yeah.
missed the whole damn trip. I'm there. But guess what? I'm making sure that everybody else has a great time that I didn't forget. My
Mm,
wedding, I'm making sure everybody else has a great time. For my
yeah.
10-year anniversary, everything, 15-year, everything that I do is for everyone else to have a great time. And I
Mm,
missed the whole event. I
yeah.
have family day down here when we invite our family from all over the country to come here
Yeah.
every other year to Georgia where they can swim. We are right outside of, we live by the beach. We have a
Yeah.
lake. They come swim, listen to music. We do fireworks and everything. I miss everything because I'm hosting. So
Mm,
everything that I do, it seems like it's structured for everybody else to have a good time. But that's my heart's desire. So
mm,
when my family, my sister, she says, "Oh, I'm going to Europe. Let's plan a Paris weekend for your birthday or her birthday. We're both in December. And we can go. I want to go to Paris.
get
Like
some
I have
croissants for me so I can live through it. I'll be like double tapping on your photos.
Yep, when I see Brandon Moore hop on the train, you remember Brandon from
Yeah.
Florida?
Uh-huh.
Brandon him
Yeah.
hop on the train and he go, that's my sightseeing. I'm like, I want y'all to take all these great pictures so I can see what it looks. So I feel like I'm there, right? I'm living
Yeah.
vicariously through you all that are trying. I have no desire for that, like none. I
Mm,
am so content with like sitting here watching my TV on a computer, like that's and watching my kids. So
mm,
now I've watched the transition of they were so cute and all lovable, this and that, to okay, now you're instilling discipline and structure when you really don't know. They're just watching you,
yeah.
really.
Really?
And that time just kind of flew. Now they're grown, and I'm like, are y'all listening? Like, what we doing? And they're all great kids, like they great athletes. But for me and my brain now is so structured, like everybody should be doing this. Everybody, this is the age where you do this. But that's what I was on. And I have to learn, I'm still learning how to kind of let that go. My kids are
Yeah.
now 23, 19, 15. So I'm in that age now where I'm almost an empty nester.
Yeah.
One lives on his own, one's away in college. And then the 15-year-old, she's probably the oldest out of everybody. She's like my mom. So she's guiding us. So, but really,
Yeah.
she like reels me in because I am like mom to like these kids who are not little children anymore.
Jenna,
Yeah,
mm,
so now I'm taking on a different role. Now I'm trying to get comfortable with what I like. I don't know what I like. I don't know where I want to go. I don't know what I want to do because my life has been focused on making everybody else happy. So now I'm back to my husband, like, hey, where you been? Well, where we going? So now we up and leave
yeah.
and we go. And it feels good to be free. Like I kind of feel
Yeah.
free from the kids. So like everybody
That's
is going
good
you
though.
know, I'm just in another chapter where
Yes.
I kind of forget like my age sometimes
Yeah.
because they keep me young, but I do feel like I'm getting old. Like,
Yeah.
you're happy when you go to the doctor and you have a good report like that. We were used to young and you go, oh, check, 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 check. Now I'm like, is that a lump? Wait, is anybody here? So now
Yeah. Yeah.
everything's
Yeah.
like a concern and a worry. And I'm like, girl, chill out. I got to tell myself a lot. Like, just chill out. Like, live life.
But
You
that's
know?
the beauty about this journey that we're in. Like, because when we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and when she was like, "Oh yeah, I have a few more years before I'm retired," I'm like, "But I don't like you're not about to be retired. Like you're still
Right.
like And again, this is where I think so many people hang this big 4-0 over thinking that it's downhill, but like you're now in a new life era. And I think that that's why sometimes people tag it as midlife crisis. And it's not really necessarily midlife crisis. It's you really are just in a different era of your life. In the
You
20s,
move
you're looking for
on. Right.
validation for everyone else. 30s is a hot mess. Like, as much as, yeah, it would be nice to, but do I want to really be in my 30s again? No. Like, I'm
No.
not, no desire at all. Like,
When
not
you
really.
said that, it triggered me. I remember my pet grandma, I called her
Uh,
grandma. She's
uh,
my aunt, my cousin. And she was in her 70s.
Yeah.
and we were talking, I probably was 20s. Yeah, I was in my 20s. And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, you're just mad because you not 20, whatever." And she was like, "Girl, y'all crazy. I don't want to be 20 nothing, 30 nothing, 40." I was like, "What? You don't want to go back?" Like, I thought everybody wanted to stay. She's like, "No." She said, "My
No.
best time was at 50, child." I was like, 50? Oh my God, that's so old. But now I'm like, girl, like that's young.
Yeah.
'Cause, back then, 40
Yeah.
was like, oh, and I was like, oh my God, then we gonna die. And then, no,
And
like
we look good though.
we look
So
good,
like,
we feel good, like we a new 40. So now
yeah.
I actually go back and like look at my mom's pictures and everything. I was like, oh, she was probably 40 in this picture.
Yeah.
Like it's like a revamping. And
Yes.
now you act like you wanna like, I feel good, so if I'm
Mhm.
feeling good, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
My cousin
Yeah.
Chris, he told me that a long time ago, he's now blind, and he said, "Oh, the doctor said XYZ," and he's like, "But I feel good." And he said,
Yeah.
one doctor told me, "If you feel good, you are good." Like, I can't worry about for me, I need, like, instant gratification. I gotta know that this is perfect, this is good,
Uh-huh.
before I can move on to the next.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I have to learn how to slow it down. Like everything
Yeah.
takes it, and for me, and it's kind of weird to explain it though. So I do want to know that everything's good, like right now. Like I want to see the
Yeah.
future. I want to know,
Yeah.
but I know I'm good. I know God has me. I know we'll
Yeah.
be all right. I just
Yeah.
want to see it. Like I want to see the end. I want to see the end without getting to the end. Like I need to fast forward, get to the end, and then come back and just live it. But it takes some patience. It
Yeah.
takes patience. So I'm learning patience. I'm very grateful. So each day, just gratitude, just getting up, being able to walk and see and just feel and taste and go
Yeah.
outside and be in a position to help other people. Like
Yeah.
give back a lot. So I remember coming through when I was at Gibbs Elementary and at Roper Middle, now it's Daniel C. Brown.
Yeah.
I was in this program called HAP, the Higher Achievement.
Yes.
You remember that?
Loved half. Yeah, I was in half too.
College bound, upper bound. I was in all the programs, but like HAP stood out. Stephen McClutchy was like our director or something.
Uh-huh.
As a matter of fact, Stephen went to Sidwell. But one of my best friends, Lisa Riley, that was my tutor, probably in the fifth, sixth grade. And
Uh-huh.
now, she might have been in her 20s. This might have been a college assignment. Like, I don't know. I gotta
Yeah.
ask her that. But she's out Sacramento now. And she's married, kids. Now her kids are married and law school, all that great stuff. But now you must think that was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And I met her from HAP. So for me, having volunteers, I don't know if she's paid or not, but to have
Yeah.
volunteers back then that still have such a footprint in my life now,
Yeah.
because if I didn't have that coming through DC Public Schools
Yeah.
and establish it, we had the DARE program when
Yeah.
it came in there, and I knew how that made me feel. So
Yeah.
now my job is to go back into the community so I
Mhm.
can give that same feeling that I had as a
Yeah.
young Black girl that had no clue, no idea, no agenda, no, just
Yeah.
was figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
I want to go back and show them like like you can do it without
Yeah.
saying you can do it. Because if you don't
Yeah.
have anybody that looks like you to
Yeah.
say it, to show it, to come in uniform, to stand up, to be the one that walks in the room and everybody stops, or to be the voice. Like I've sat in rooms and at tables and places in the White House, just in different places
Yeah.
that average people are in. So now to be able to come back to pour in other little kids to say, no, that's
Mhm.
attainable. Like when
Yeah.
we moved here in 2016, we found like a lot of the kids in Brunswick never left Brunswick,
Yeah.
never left Brunswick. And I'm like, no, have you ever? No. Like the buildings don't have elevators here because there's nowhere to go up. Everything's one level. Unless you go to the
Mm.
hospital, but everything's
Yeah.
like one level. There's no mass transit, there's no buses, there's no subway, there's no big stores, no big restaurants. So I said, all right, I don't know how we did it, but my husband and I took two carloads of kids to DC. So each time we would go up to DC, we would pack up kids who have never
Wow.
left Brunswick, and I would take them up to DC, and we would go to. I've taken a forward a show. I'll take them to the Washington Monument. I'll take them to the memorial,
Wow.
show them, cars, city, life.
Yeah.
Like you can do it. It's attainable.
Yeah.
Let's go. Like
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
What do you want to do? What do you want to be? All right, let me show you how we can get there.
I
And
love
that's
that.
my whole goal. And that's how I give back. It's not monetary, it's not in it's mentorship.
Yeah.
It's why it is. And I think if we had more people, to actually go out and have these conversations, more people that are in positions to do it. Because
Yeah.
we can't learn from people who haven't experienced anything
Hmm.
or who are really a teenager or in their early 20s and no life experiences. So even with me going through law school right now,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do this in my 20s or coming out of college because
Yeah.
I didn't have those life experiences to like shape me right
Yeah.
now. So I'm watching these kids in law school like, what? And they're trying to understand concepts. I'm like, oh, girl, that happened to me in 2001. I know that. They're like, I know how to write this up because there's no right or wrong. It's how can I articulate my argument?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna show you how I can do it because I watched it on Judge Judy. I watched it on Judge Joe Brown. I lived it. I've been there, done that, and been
Yeah.
to court and did all of that stuff. So now,
Yeah.
how do I take all those life experiences now, put it on paper to show
Yeah.
somebody else? Like you can do it. You
Mhm.
can do it. Like it is achievable.
Yeah.
So that's my whole thing is just to get out here, pull back in. Like I think all of these different things happen to me as a testimony, so I could show
Yes.
somebody else that you can do it. So even when hard times strike, and they be hitting me, they
Yeah.
be hitting me. My mom had two kids. One of us committed suicide in 2022, and it's
Yeah.
one, and he was older than me. So now
Mhm.
I am now the
So,
matriarch.
yeah.
I'm the one that, and I guess I've always been the one that family and friends, come to. But
Yeah.
now to know who do I go to?
Mm.
Like, who do I go to? So now I have to find that in my Lisa from HAP,
Yeah.
my godmother Sharon,
Yeah.
my aunts, my Sheila, my Jean, my people that are still here
Yeah.
that got me because their eyes seen more than mine. And that's
Yeah.
where I need my institutional, that's why I need that knowledge from.
Yeah.
That's why I'm learning who I am because I can't ask my mom, I can't ask my dad.
Mhm. Yeah.
Why do I feel this way? Well, what happened here? And now to know and understand that mental illness is real.
Yeah.
We talked about it. Like it's quiet in the Black community. But
Yeah.
now I think, with folks getting educated on it and, even in the police world, we're having classes on it and we're talking about
Yeah.
mental illness. But to know that it's prevalent and to know that, dementia and, I have
Mhm.
family that passed away from dementia. My aunt, my mom, she was very depressed. She was 61. So now
Mm.
I know, guess what? You're going to fight whatever comes your way. My
Yeah.
grandmother, she was depressed, mental illness out of here. My dad was depressed,
Mhm.
dementia. My
Mhm.
brother, he committed suicide. So he was depressed. So now
Yeah.
I know things that I have to fight. And I know that that's how the devil is going to try to come in through my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause if he's,
So how to keep yourself motivated and focused is the key. Yeah.
but it is. And then when you're determined to fight against that, to pray
Yeah.
against that, and
Yeah.
you know that's a weapon,
Yeah.
it won't prosper in my life.
Yeah. This has been such a great conversation, and I have a feeling that people can really resonate with different things that you've shared in your own personal journey, and to understand, like, this is everybody's journey is different, and what we're passionate about, what our gifts are, what our talents are, may be different. But life is not over. This is just the midpoint, and we get a chance to show up daily to be able to have the kind of life that we truly want. So I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. So in closing, inhale confidence,
Yes.
exhale doubt.
Yes, which is
Inhale
amazing.
confident and exhale doubt.
Awesome. Well, thank you so very much, Kim. This has
Thanks
been
for having me.
amazing.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I do appreciate you.
Same here. It's been awesome.